been a long road since the original Kicker christened that first pickup truck. It kicked off a car audio renaissance, and upgrading your music in a vehicle was a requirement. America's music machines became living loud over your passion, your emotion, your existence. Outdoors or on the open road, your sound is Kicker.
It's the Kip and Dave Show.
Excitement.
Are you ready?
22. We're doing it one more time. We're going to do another one. We're going to do this right this time.
Weeka.
Check. I'm Speedlish.
Camera adds 27 pounds.
Okay.
It just seems like a abrupt it's just
kind of, yeah.
This is Dave.
And Kip.
Come check us out. This is Kip.
And Dave.
And I got it wrong again. And we're going to have to do this again because we went down a different trail. Until then, this is Dave.
And Kip.
Come check us out. Come check us out.
Yeah.
Wiki.
I think that's good.
Just pick one. God, I hate the ending. There's no way to end this.
Just say, come see us. Just come see us. And just come see us.
So.
Come see us at the two locations.
God, it just seems so hard.
Oh, howdy. Delmar Hogwallop here, coming to you from outside Mildred's Bake Shop and Lingerie. Want to appreciate you all coming, giving a look-see in on the Kicker Unmasked show. Those folks at Kicker, salt of the earth, make some of the finest gear ever tickle your ear. So, mighty fine of you to come take some time off and check them out. And remember, whether you're looking for night crawlers or nighties, Mildred's is your place. So once again, hey, son, put down that armadillo and get some pants on. Oh, my Lord, kids.
Music is my passion, my livelihood, and it's in my DNA. My pals at Kicker Marine Audio gave me a chance to take the music, what I love and listen to, at home, on stage, and in the car, onto the water. Hi, this is Jason Bonham, and I want to say a big thank you to my friends at Kicker Audio for inspiring the songs and the stories behind the music that inspires America. Go overboard!
The Kicker Quad Box is the most insane, ground-pounding, bass head-loving, preloaded subwoofer enclosure we have ever offered. It consists of 4 L7R 12-inch subwoofers. It has a total power handling of 2,400 watts RMS, and it's tuned at an amazing 31 hertz. Here to tell us more about it is Kicker's very own Jeremy Brown.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Brown. I've been with Kicker for 22 years. I work in the research and development department. In the early 2000s, I would run the Gates Bronco at shows like Daytona. We would do hair tricks, 48 10-inch subwoofers with 48 1,000 watt amplifiers. Really big build back in that day. We were able to develop some high output enclosures that were up above the 170 dB mark. We set a few world records with some of those enclosure designs and our woofers. We learned a lot about high output enclosure designs during that time, and we've been able to bring that to our product lines today. Within the last year, we introduced a new subwoofer enclosure with 4 L7R12s that we call the Quad Box. Our Quad Box is built out of 3/4 inch birch. It's got a 1.5 inch baffle and a 1.5 inch bottom. We also use window frame bracing along with corner bracing to make the enclosure more rigid. We use a flared port to reduce port noise and increase port surface area. This type of vent design helps maximize output. We use the L7R 12-inch subwoofers because this allows you to use one KXA 2400.1 amplifier, and you still get big bass with fewer upgrades to your charging system. The KICKER Quad Box is the bass head starter kit, and if you're worried, it plays way below 40 hertz.
Do not attempt to adjust this transmission. We have assumed control.
The year is 1980. Music fights for its very survival in an acoustically desolate wasteland man calls automobile. Enter Steve Irby, a man whose love of music helped end this scourge forever and forge a path for modern car audio to follow. A humble musician with a passion for quality sound, Mr. Irby is a man who feels it is his destiny to provide a sanctuary for mobile audio. Welcome. Join us this evening as we venture back to the very night a young Steve Irby gains his inspiration to create the legacy we know today as KICKER Performance Audio. Though he does not realize it now, by this time tomorrow, Mr. Irby will have completed blueprints for the original KICKER and champion the war against mobile audio inequality. Tonight, Mr. Irby's prayers will be answered as he begins his quest into the Q Zone. KICKER L7QB8. With roots dating back to KICKER's inception, Mr. Irby and his team of engineers have achieved an unrivaled level of design and functionality. With extraordinary bass and a minimal footprint, the L7QB8 utilizes a seamless 1/4 inch extruded aluminum housing, allowing optimal internal air volume for the subwoofer. This exclusive design provides exceptional strength and stability. Like the original KICKER, the L7QB8 incorporates a unique passive radiator to minimize required airspace while optimizing the efficiency and frequency response of the subwoofer. Opposite the passive radiator, the L7QB8 is equipped with the all-new 8-inch L7 square subwoofer. The 2016 L7 features an aluminum basket for exceptional strength and thinned aluminum heat sinks for efficient heat dissipation. KICKER's blue lace spider, solo cone 360-degree back bracing, and a laser-etched cone brace combine as a single ultra-rigid unit. The result is increased clarity, higher volume, and added reliability. The square cone features over 20% more surface area than round subwoofers. It's attached to a Santoprene surround, then stitched to the cone for long life and durability. This surround features KICKER's patented ribbed corners, which fully dictates cone motion and extends surround life. At the base of the unit, a pair of custom-formed flanges integrate seamlessly with an extremely low-profile mounting system, consisting simply of a mounting plate and bar. Once installed, the overall height of the enclosure is only 9.5 inches. This profile is small enough to work perfectly in countless trucks, sedans, and SUVs. Once again, KICKER sets a new standard with the groundbreaking design and unparalleled performance of the all-new L7 QB8.
This is where KICKER started, right here in this garage right back here. It was a great place, but just a little bit small. And after about 6 months, actually, we got kicked out of here. My wife said there's entirely too much sawdust seeping into the house from the garage. But this was the beginning right here in the garage on 1412 Eastern Street in this little house. Okay, here we are at KICKER location number 2 down on South Main Street in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And this is the little house that we moved into after we got kicked out of the garage. Here we are at KICKER location number 3. We spent about 7 or 8 years in this place. We moved from the little house right over here into the Quonset when we ran out of space. We had about 35 employees. Here we are, KICKER location number 4. This is up on top of the hill. It's a little bit windy here. We spent the years from 1989 until about 2006 here, until we moved into our new facility.
time it is. It's Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly, coming to you on our Facebook tube, our YouTube, our Facebook feed, and of course our good friend and probably the ultimate kicker fanatic out there, Mr. Andy McGill, Living Loud with Andy, comes to you on his feed as well. Everyone, welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. If it's your first time here, thanks for joining us. We think you'll stick around for a while. We always have a good time. If it's your second, third, fourth, or man, we just talked about it earlier. This is actually episode 21 of the weekly show. Now, if we go back to the original Unmasked that we did as a replacement for SEMA, because that show was canceled, this is actually 22 shows that we've put in the books. It actually feels like a huge accomplishment for us. It also makes the work that we know we need to do to hit 100, and I bring up 100 because one of the gentlemen joined us tonight. He's hit that 100 club and done that on YouTube, so it's a big accomplishment. We're proud of hitting 21 here, 22 if you count the original Unmasked. So thanks for tuning in. If you like what you see, please do us a favor. If you're on any of those type of formats that are social out there watching, hit that like button. It's not that we monetize this. We don't do it for any cash, but when you hit the like button, it lets us know that the content we're producing is interesting to you, that you enjoy it, and that you'd like to see more of it. Also, it really helps grease the wheels when we take those kind of requests that we want to do, you know, like the pizza giveaway or other crazy things that we're going to continue doing. Helps us get, approval from the management above us that, you know what, we see people are enjoying the show, they're liking it, and that's a number that they can look at and know that we're doing great things that you guys really enjoy. So right now, later, whenever you get a chance, please just smash that like button. It just gives us a tracking metric so that we know you're enjoying what you're watching. Now, with that said, we always try to take care of a little housekeeping here at the beginning of the show. And just so you know, I don't want to zoom in on this. I don't want anybody to see this. We literally try to plan a month's worth of shows out in advance. And so this is the first show of April, and we do have the entire month of April planned out. It is going to be a good time. We do teasers. We usually release those to social media every Friday, so look for those coming then. It lets you know kind of the show we did do. If you need to go watch a recap or a replay, you can. And more importantly, it lets you know the new shows that are coming up and we've got planned for you. So if you have ideas, products you'd like for us to cover, topics you want us to address, guests you'd like to see join the show, we're very sincere when we tell you this. Drop them into the comment section here, or more importantly, you can always reach out to Bill Frog, and that is social@kicker.com. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you enjoy. We produce this show for you guys, and we want to make sure that you're enjoying it. Now, if you're new to the show, we do a drawing every Tuesday night here, and it's just during the show. We launch it live at the beginning of the show. We close it at 8:30. We draw the winners and announce them. So you got to be here to win. You got to be here to play. And tonight's drawing is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. It's actually been scrolling since about 7:15. We've actually been starting that early so you guys can get that in and out of the way before you join the show. But tonight's drawing is kicker.fun, as always, /sound cue. So if you haven't entered the contest yet, anytime between now and 8:30 Central Time, that's when we cut it off. You have plenty of time between now and then to enter. So please go do that, enter, so you got your chance at winning the great prizes, which, as I now know, you already know what the prizes are. There was a long time that I really thought we kept the prizes secret until the very end, but I found out that we actually put those out into the Gleam link, and you know what you're getting. So you already know the prizes. There's some great ones out there, so tune in for that. Speaking of prizes, I want to recap and let everyone know that 2 weeks ago, we launched a drawing with Hifi Industries. We actually had Hifi come on and talk about all the cool ATV, UTV products that they manufacture utilizing kicker gear. The Hifi Shade, which at some point you might see over my shoulder, it's in the background there. So let me move over this way. There you can see it's in the background. There's the one we had on there. But we launched with JD from Hifi a contest. It's going to run until April 26th. Or excuse me, April 26th. Got the months just rolled over. I'm trying to get it in my head. Midnight, so 11:59 Central Time, we cut that contest off. It's going to run for almost 5 weeks. And then on Tuesday's Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly, which will be the 27th, JD's going to come back and join us, and we will be drawing to give away that Hifi Audio Mini system. And they currently have 4. They got a couple more that's in development. Whatever units are available at the time we do the drawing, you can choose from any one of those, and that'll be your prize for that. It'll come fully loaded from Hifi with the kicker gear ready to go, and you can enjoy that in your ATV and UTV product. I got a few more notes here, and I had to make some notes and write them down so I can stay on track here. So I'm gonna make Ernie work a little bit tonight. Some things that we just found out today that I wanted to share with everyone. The new Comp VR boxes, the CVR 102, which is the dual 10, the CVR 122, which is the dual 12, and then we do a CWR 10, which is a single 10 box. Those are actually in stock and shipping. That's some of the new product that we talked about on the original Kicker Unmasked live show. We want to just let you guys know that those are in the warehouse. They are currently in the shipping process. I know right now on our website, the dual 12 box is available for purchase direct from Kicker. That'll remain the case, and the others will pop up there as they're fulfilling orders. Quite honestly, we address dealers first. So any dealer that's got product in queue, ordered, or we call back ordered, you're going to get those orders filled from that first. And if we have any left, we'll throw them up on the Kicker website. And if we don't, that means you need to go find your local Kicker dealer or your favorite internet dealer, if that's what you prefer, and source those products, because we do fill our dealers' orders first. But want to let you know those products are in the barn and they are shipping. And as we continue, any of the new products that we talked about in the original Unmasked, we will let you know when those products are actually shipping from Kicker, so you can reach out through your favorite retail channel, whatever it may be, and you can go find that if that's what you're looking for. So those are products are shipping. Second thing that's really cool is everyone is familiar that we do the motocross series. We do that with Todd Hammock, and we have our good friend Lauren Morrell. He actually goes out and he's the face of Kicker at those events. And what a lot of you may not know is that Todd also puts on another series that's called the Kicker Monster Truck Series. And I'm going to make Ernie work for his pay again tonight. Ernie, when you get a chance, throw that up on the screen. And this is just a little link for you guys here to see. We do this Monster Truck Series with them. The link is www.kickermonstertruck.com. So if you want to know more information about any upcoming events for that, please check it out. And if you're into that, you hit the event. Lauren Morrell will be there on site. He'll be talking about all the cool Kicker products that you can use for your truck, ATV, UTV, boat, put it on your head if it's personal and lifestyle. But that's another event that Kicker's involved with. Wanted to kind of give you a shout out for that. Actually, my boss, Kevin Campbell, he actually put that into a kind of like, we do a daily, it feels like daily, but it's really a weekly briefing on things that we get. And that was announced along with the woofer boxes that are shipping. So I just wanted to bring that up. I know I've enjoyed a good Monster Truck show or two in my past, and so if you're into that kind of thing, go check it out, and we're supporting that. And so if you enjoy it, go attend it. And then the next one that's on my list, I've got it written in capital letters here, so it must be important, is Stampede. Ernie, will you throw me something up that talks about Stampede? This is the Kicker Country Stampede. We have been the title sponsor of this event for about 7 or 8 years. I could be off on the math on that, so I apologize if I am. Unfortunately, last year, as you know, just about any event got canceled due to the COVID-O's. There was a leak in the cereal box and COVID-O's got all over the floor. But hopefully we're getting that fixed. This event looks like it's actually going to happen. It's June 20, I'm going to get the dates here wrong. I think the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. It's the last Thursday, Friday, Saturday in June coming up. If you want to know anything about the Kicker Country Stampede, the lineup of artists, we will be there in full effect with the XRV. Myself, Ernie, the whole team will be there. We'll be doing live broadcasts from that as well. We'll be doing artist interviews. It is really a good time. And if you're into live, awesome sounding country music, I highly recommend you put that on your agenda and come check us out at the Kicker Country Stampede. They literally put on a 1,000,000-watt soundstage, and I've attended quite a few outdoor concerts in my life and indoor as well, but this is honestly probably the best sounding stage for outdoor that I've ever heard. It sounds amazing. So if you're into having a good time with friends and family, enjoying a few of your favorite adult beverages, or Coke, Sprite, whatever you happen to like, it's a great event. It's a great time. It starts during the day. You run in. Most of the show, the acts come on like at 2:30, between 2:30 and 4:30, and then it plays on into the night with the acts at the end, wrapping up between 11:30 and 12 o'clock. There's some great headliners that are closing every night. Go check it out. We are pumped. We feel like that event is actually going to happen. Things are looking on the positive swings for that, so we want to let you know we're involved with that as well. But for any updates on that, visit Kicker Country Stampede or countrystampede.com, or you can also check into either their Facebook or Instagram feeds, ours as well. Any current information about that event will be posted there. So now what else have I got in my list of? I've already covered that. I've already covered that. Already covered that. Well, it looks like I might be done. Wow, that went fast. So, do we have any comments? Anybody joining the show? Anything that's worth throwing up there, Jeremy? We actually have Sandy Rue, as we like to call her, the Rue. She's joining us tonight. She's helping back there. Jeremy's actually giving her a little bit of training because the next 2 weeks, Jeremy has to step out of the studio and go and do an external event outside of Kicker, and Sandy's going to be stepping in and filling his shoes. What's really going to be funny is when she does it better than Jeremy, and we tell Jeremy we don't need him anymore. So that's probably going to happen. But Denny Eddy, hey, how you doing? Hello from KC Showdown. How you doing tonight, Denny? Thanks for tuning in, joining the show. What else we got here? Hi-Fi Vega. Andy, I hope Kayla isn't seeing these comments. Oh, there must be something going on in the comment section that's interesting. I need to pay more attention. Jesse Strawn, awesome intro in history. Thanks for that, Jesse. You know, that's actually a video, since you brought that up. If you'll notice, that video kind of went back and forth between like square view, which really was 480p or, you know, standard definition, but at least it was progressive. And then the stuff you saw with Steve Irby, that was actually 720p. We shot that with a prosumer grade camera back in that time frame. And then the other stuff that was from a lot of our big air bashes was thrown into that. And most of that stuff was also high definition. So I know the picture size changed a little bit and the quality that you see may have went back and forth, but that video was shot a long time ago. And we still think it's a cool thing to show people because it's Steve Irby kind of just touching on the different places where we actually, the company has its roots, you know, where it started. It literally started in a 300 square foot garage and progressed and moved forward over time. And so that was cool. You got to see some footage there from, I think a lot of that footage in that video from Vegas was actually SEMA footage. So you got to see some stuff from the SEMA show. And then of course at the end, the guy running in out of breath that looked like he's the $6 million man using bionic legs. That's yours truly. Of course, that was about 60 plus pounds ago, so me and that other guy, I don't know where he went, but he helped me do that run way back in the day, so. DIY audio guy, watch your stuff, love it. Thank you for tuning in and enjoying our show and participating. Dylan Frey, Jersey Strong up in here. Shout out to Jersey. How you doing this evening? Thanks for joining us as well. Keep them coming. What else you got back there, Sandy or Jeremy? Special guest. Paula Litzy is on the channel, and if that sounds familiar, that's my wife, and she lets me do this and tolerates my insanity for doing this on Tuesday night. Paula says, Sandy rocks. Thanks for tuning in, Paula. I will see you later. Have a cold beverage. Maybe we'll sit out by the fire pit. Deviant for Life. Beardy is here. He had a super worm, so he's in a food coma. Deviant, thanks for tuning in. You are definitely one of the regulars tuning into the show. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Anything else back there, Sandy? Mike Crainer. Okay, Mike is actually the gentleman who joined us on the show last week. He was here and joined us, and two of our guests tonight was also here for that tour. Mike had a tour. He actually brought his grandson, Lane, with him. Mike is a kicker fanatic, sort of like Andy McGill, just the same fanaticism, but just a different name. And Lane, his grandson, loves tuning in and joining with his granddad and watching the show. And, of course, Mike shares his knowledge and wealth of information from installation and application with his grandson. That's a great bonding time. We sure appreciate that. Anything else quick? We got enough time here to throw a few more. David Monroe, hello from Massachusetts. Hello, David. Hope you're having a great evening tonight. How's the weather in your neck of the woods? Post in the comment and let us know. We had a gorgeous day here in Oklahoma. A little windy. You could go out and fly a car, literally. We don't need kites here. We can just fly vehicles. The wind gets so strong, but it was a gorgeous day. El Fuego, you know, I see El Fuego everywhere. He watches a lot of the other stuff that's available in the social stream around 12-volt audio. Good to see you, El Fuego. Kicker, I didn't see what he said, but hey, El Fuego, thanks for tuning in. Kicker for the win with my gold letter sub since '89. I'm looking forward to the 50th year edition. You know, El Fuego, we're looking forward to it as well, and hopefully what you're hoping can happen will. Stay tuned to Kicker Unmasked. We'll let you know. Steve Barber. Hey, Steve. How you doing, man? Steve and I actually talked a little bit earlier today. He always tunes in. He has a great time. Hello from Las Vegas. Hello to you, Steve. Great to see you tuning in as well. Man, there's a lot of comments going on in here tonight. I'm kind of watching the feed the best I can, but there's so much going on. So, David Monroe, 59, gorgeous day. You know, that is a gorgeous day. 59. I personally grew up in Northwest Ohio, would be more specific. And so I love fall. I love spring. In Ohio, summers in Ohio are like fall here in Oklahoma. But so I can say I actually love them too. But you know, I appreciate and enjoy a good winter. So James Goki, hey, I know that name. How you doing, James? Northwest Ohio. Shout out to you. Say hi to Kevin and Kyle if you see him. Mike Ellison, hello from Brandon, Missouri. Or is that, no, that's Mississippi. No, that's Missouri. What's MS? Mississippi. Had to ask. I had to phone a friend on that one and find out what that is. So Brandon, Missouri. Sup from Kentucky, Brandon Wallace. Brandon, thanks for tuning in. Good to see you as well. If you're from Kentucky, then you know where my dad's side of the family's from. They're down from a little place called Litchfield. Maybe you've heard of that little town. I have roots back in there. Love Kentucky. Beautiful country. So I know there's a lot of people tuning in. We got a lot of shout outs coming on board here. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. But let's get down to the meat and potatoes of what we're here for tonight. And tonight we've lined up what I think is a very special show tonight. We have a topic, but we really don't have an agenda. It's kind of going to be an open discussion night between the guests that I've asked to join us, and they've graciously accepted. If you guys have questions, please throw them into the feed. We'll pull them out. We'll ask them of the panelists. We'll ask them of the guests. But the first people I would like to bring on to the show, they are hailing to us from Mississippi. Mississippi. He can give you the other way to say it because I can't get it right. And that would be my good friend, Jimmy Ham, and his cohort in crime, Mike Flanagan, coming in from Pro Audio Center. Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
We are doing well. I keep on going. I'm just going to turn my volume up a little bit so I can hear you here.
That's fine. And so I'm not going to spell the Mississippi way again, but I will tell you that MS is Mississippi, not Missouri. So you see all the comments? That's our friends popping up locally here. Yeah.
You know what? I'm okay admitting I don't know, or I have to ask for help. So, phone a friend, if you need to, ask the audience, but I'll try to get the correct answer. But I know that you know Mississippi is MS, so I don't even need to ask. You'll correct me.
Yeah, there you go. We got a lot of them tuning in. Good to see everybody. Shout out to all the Mississippi boys out there, too. I see some from the north of the state all the way down south. So
there's a lot of people that tune into this show. It's kind of crazy. I mean, we've got a great viewing ship tonight. I mean, people obviously interested in this show. Without leading the witness too much, I do want to say that Pro Audio Center, they are a kicker dealer. And we kind of touched on this a little bit when you guys were here last week for the tour that Mike and his grandson were here for. But you guys aren't just a kicker dealer. You're one of the oldest kicker dealers in the book, so to speak, for kicker. And I will say this, if any of you out there are looking for clean, sweet, looking and sounding installs, no matter what the product, you need to go over and check out the Pro Audio Center Instagram feed, and you need to start following that puppy, because every single time they post something, it's just clean, it looks good, it's got the right lighting, it's got the right effects, and I'm proud that you tend to do a lot of that with Kicker products, which is great. But
absolutely.
I say it jokingly, but I know a handful of dealers or people that I could literally just pull up in my car with the product I want in the back, just walk in and give you the keys and say, call me when it's done. And you guys are definitely on that list of people that I consider on my short list that I could just drop off a vehicle of any nature, and I know the install coming out of you guys is going to be top notch. And I'm not just blowing smoke, but I do want to give you guys the proper props for that, because you guys do excellent work.
Well, thank you. And you can definitely be rest assured we would take care of you. So I just want to know, when are you bringing the car? When are you going to visit? Because we're ready to do it right now.
Well, here's the thing. I can't get mushy at the beginning of the show because I got to run through the whole show. But not only is Pro Audio Center a fantastic kicker dealer and a fantastic retail store that does great business, and they do it the right way, and they do installs that are awesome, but I truly consider Jimmy a friend of mine. And of course, I met his new partner in crime, who he's tried to get him to quit, fire, or leave, but he's hung around. He is truly a buddy from back in the Cub Scout days. And I've met Mike. And what I didn't know is I had actually met Mike before, but Mike has kind of changed his attire a lot that I didn't even recognize him.
It was hilarious because we're doing the tour around, and I had to pull my phone out, like for Jeremy Brown and all these guys that I've known for years. And I've had to pull the phone out and go, no, this is me. And they're looking at me like, no, that's not you.
Well, you got me as well. You fooled me, because you come up and say, you know me. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm going like, I don't know this guy from Adam, but I got to be polite because he's with Jimmy and I'm trying to be a good host. So in my mind, I'm going, just go along. I don't think he's here to kill you or issue you a warrant. So just go along with it. And so, but guys, the cool part about this is, and we'll get into this in just a second, but both of you have some long-standing roots in what we know as sound competition and sound quality. And I just want to leave it at that. We'll get into it a little bit more with all of our guests when they join the panel. But that's why you guys are on here tonight. And it'll be real interesting to hear your story, Jimmy, about your roots in sound competition. And of course, Mike, it'll be fantastic to hear not only your background, why you are so good at knowing how things sound, because you got some experience for that, and I do want you to toot your horn when we get to that, that not only have you built competition-winning vehicles, but now you're a judge. And so you're qualified to be on this show just because you know how to build them, you know how to judge them.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So with that said, that's our first guest joining us tonight. I'd like to roll up onto the screen our next special guest joining it, and everybody knows him as your boy.
Yeah.
It's your boy, Hifi Vega.
I'm here, man. I'm
How
ready.
you doing, man?
Hey, it's your 21st birthday. I figured you'd have a twisted tea or something, but it's a family-friendly show, so I don't know what's in the cup. I'm just saying I don't know what's in the cup. It could be.
It's
he told us last week it was water.
Yeah, but he wouldn't let the kid get a drink out of it, so
Well, here's the thing. As you know, if you've watched the show at all, Ernie likes to work with Tim, and Ernie and Tim actually communicate over a private headset. I have no idea what they're saying to each other, but Ernie will give Tim directions on what camera to go to or what to cue in on, and also he'll tell him, what to write on his little whiteboard to give me cues for things. But he'll also do this really cool stuff where he will tell Tim to go do something in the studio, but then he'll cut to a camera you can't see, and Tim will run in here, and Tim will rearrange something or do something, and then he'll run back, and they'll cut cameras. And unless you're paying attention, you're like, I don't know what he did, but something looks different. Well, they like playing a game with my water. I always used to come up with a water bottle because I have to have some water during the show. And so they would play games with moving my water around or doing things, and it's like 1 minute it's there, 1 minute it's not. So Tim is pretty cool about that, but what I finally decided is if I quit bringing up an ugly water bottle and I bring up a nice looking, not that I'm not, but my Yeti, if I bring up my Yeti cup that looks nice and pretty and almost fits the color scheme of the show, they tend to leave it alone. So that is my beverage, and it is water, and that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I believe you. You're a pretty honest guy by my reckoning, so.
I try to be, and our second guest is joining us. This is, obviously Robert Hifi Vega. And Robert, you are known to be a sound quality guy. It's very obvious if you watch any of your content, whether you're doing your sound advice or 12-volt talk with Derek or any of the other things you get involved with, you are an SQ guy. You like things. I almost get the impression after spending time with you, you're like me. You like a nice, tight system. You like imaging, you like staging, you like good tonality, but you also like the bass to be about 6 to 9 dB hotter than most judges think it should be, because that's why it sounds good to us.
That's the gravy. I mean, you have your nice sounding system, but as my good buddy JDR that you got to have the gravy, and sometimes you need a little more gravy, and if you're from the South, you need a lot more gravy than most folks.
It goes good with your grits, and that's another story for another time, because I'm almost a qualified suddener or something. Jimmy will tell me how I'm messing it up. Yeah. Okay. But on my own, I ordered grits for breakfast. No one twisted my arm or made me do it. I like grits. I like good grits. So, that's what it is. So obviously you were down. I wanted to have you on because you're an SQ guy, and you were just down last weekend, and you'd actually spent some time down there at the SQ event that Mike and Jimmy were both down in. I think it was Dallas, if I remember right. It might have been a smaller town, but it was in the Dallas area. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so I wanted to get you on here. You're the everyday audio guy who knows what you like. You're not unabashed about telling people what you like, which I appreciate that about you. I've jokingly said, but I mean it seriously, I got no problem sending you any Kicker product ever for you to test or review. No matter what you say, I know it'll be the truth. And even if it's something that we don't want to hear, at least it's an honest review, and you're that kind of guy. So props to you, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show tonight.
Thanks, man. If you told me 1990 version of me that I would be on a Kicker live stream talking SQ with these guys, Flanagan and freaking Mark Eldridge, 100 years I would never believe it.
Well, that makes two of us.
I'll put my hand up for it. You say that, and so the cat's kind of out of the bag, and I'll bring him on here. Our guest number 4 is, I'll let him tell you, but I consider him one of the winningest IASCA competitors that's out there. Mark is a competitor at heart. He does know how to tune and tweak a car the right way. His heart is in it. He loves sharing his knowledge about it with people. There's nothing he enjoys more than trying to get people to understand the importance to him as to why these are such important criteria, not just to him, but to anyone who listens to a good audio system. And I have the distinct pleasure, and I'm sure we'll get into some funny stories later, but I actually got a chance to work directly with Mark a few times, and had the great pleasure of actually traveling to Japan with him to do a sound quality training in Japan. So
that was awesome. That's one of my favorite all-time trips, man. That was so much fun.
You know, I can jokingly say that you and I didn't go break bread, we broke fish.
Yeah. That was a good time, man. That was a great trip. We'll talk about that one later on, but there's a lot of good stuff in that trip.
A lot of good stuff in that. So we were very blessed. We reached out to Mark, and Mark, he has a day job, and then he's got another day job, and it's his mobile soundstage engineering. And Mark's passion is to share the knowledge, share the wealth of information so that people can understand how to not only recreate and build great sounding car audio systems that do imaging and staging and tonality and everything you want it to do, but also he has that eye from a judging standpoint as well. So he does classes. And as far as I know, Mark, your classes fill up pretty darn quick.
Yeah, I got one we're doing in June, and it filled up in a week and a half. You know, I limit it to 14 people just because I don't want to have too many people there that they can't experience the experiments and get their hands and ears on what we do, because it's all about the attendees learning how the human hearing system works, how music is recorded, the laws of physics and human physiology and acoustics and everything else. And, you know, so... yeah, that one filled up. I'll probably be doing another one, I'm thinking September timeframe, and then maybe another one later in the year. So, you know, they're pretty cool. And I think COVID had a lot to do with this one filling up so quick, too, because I haven't done one in a year and a half. I think people are itching to get back in the car and make it sound good.
I'm telling you, when it comes to that, I think a lot of people are itching to get back to what all of us know is the normal American way of life, and I think you're right on that, Mark. They're just ready to go. It's over. Let's get it going. Let's get it on. But I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us. You know, as Hifi Vega, Robert said, to be able to have the opportunity to have you join this panel, I think all of us are here, and we're going to have a really good time. So everyone, the Hollywood squares that are in front of you, thank you for joining us tonight. And with that said, I'm going to just give a shout back that Jeremy or Sandy, if you find any questions kind of relevant about asking about sound quality or something, please feel free to just bring that up and throw it into the feed so we can address that when we get a chance to. We'll find a break and address those as we go along. But with that said, I'm going to start with Jimmy. I'm going to go up to at least it's my top right square. I'm going to start with Jimmy. So Jimmy, tell us, I kind of alluded that you have some roots in judging and not only sound organizations. What are those?
Well, basically, I started this as a consumer competitor. So I started mid-'80s. I was going to a lot of competitions. I was fortunate enough to be able to win a lot of shows. And there was one particular show, I actually don't even remember what organization it was at the time, and I had a judge judging my car. And when he stepped out of the car, his first words were, "Would you like a job?" And that happened to be some of our friends at Tech Marketing. And so one thing led to another. And yes, I took a job and started that. And that was the start of my professional career. And then it evolved into us having a store. Like you said earlier, we've had 33 years now, which it's a long time. But for Kicker dealers, I think there's some other ones right there with us, maybe a few more. But we built our crew back in the days. We went to the shows. Mark, saw you ain't no telling how many times out on the circuit.
Can't even count, man.
So I mean, we built some stuff. We were enjoying the sound, and it was a challenge, you know. And that was the thing. We became enthusiasts, and just been loving it ever since. So, and that kind of evolved into me working with the original founders of USAC. So I was fortunate enough to write some of the rule books, including the sound quality sections, and kind of evolved that. And man, it's just been riding the wave ever since.
And Mike, I want you to toot your horn just a second, because you actually showed us when you were visiting with Jimmy last week. But you're a musician, and not just an everyday ordinary musician. You've actually been rewarded and applauded for that.
Yes, sir. I actually was a musician before car audio. I started playing guitar, started playing piano when I was 5, and then started playing guitar when I was 10, and then picked up bass along 13, 14, and loved it ever since. So my primary musical instrument is the bass guitar, and anything with any kind of bass instrument with 4 more strings or 18-inch subs, it doesn't matter. I love bass.
Yeah.
So and won a couple of awards with the Mississippi Music Association's Artist of the Year. Was actually a part of bands that won that award 4 years in a row.
So obviously you have a very diverse background in not only how to build a vehicle that sounds good and how to judge a vehicle that sounds good, but you've spent a lot of time obviously honing your skill as a musician, so you know what live music sounds like. So an acoustic set, which is the closest thing you can get to what an artist really wants to give you, because once you go from an acoustic presentation through any kind of amplifier or gear or speakers or recording, then it becomes a mastering or an engineer's idea of what they think you should sound like. But really in an acoustic environment, that's really what you're trying to do.
Right. It's the purest form of music. One of the during the Mecca judges training that they do every February, one of the things that went on before COVID was we went to the Schmatterhorn, the big orchestral venue in Nashville, and one of the things that we tell the people that are learning to judge is this is about as close to perfect tonality you're going to get. And when you go into something like that, it's, multiple channels of PA that, is on, but when you're on the floor, 75% of the music you're actually hearing from the stage, not from the speakers. And it's an incredible experience. And any live music venue is an incredible experience. Mark is a musician too. Mark is a drummer. And Jimmy is a drummer. He doesn't like to ever admit it, but one of the funny stories we were doing a show. I was, I guess, 19, and we were doing a show in North Mississippi, and it happened to be at a place that sold car audio and had a music store built in. And I think it started raining or something. Everybody went inside, and Jimmy crawls over and starts messing around with the drums, and I grabbed one of the basses, and we did an impromptu show right there in front of God and everybody. And it's one of those things where when people understand what we're trying to achieve with sound quality is the closest thing that we can get to a live venue inside our car, then it starts making more sense.
I'm going to roll right out of that, and I'm going to ask Sandy or Jeremy, because I've known to actually pull you guys aside and bring Mark up into the big screen right here, because you just opened up what I consider a perfect segue, because working with Mark and getting able to spend time with him, I know that Mark's mantra was go out and listen to some real live music in a real live venue, because that's where you're going to learn what's it supposed to sound like. So I think that's a great roll in or tie-in to let Mark take it from there.
Yeah, that's, everything we do, the whole reason we're here is because of the music. If it wasn't for music, none of us would be here.
That's right.
True. And, car audio is great. I love it. Cars and music, and then you throw competition in there too, and it's like, wow, that's a lot of cool stuff. But it still comes back to the music. And, you've got to go and experience the live music. That's a big part of what I try to get across to people is, car audio systems can sound great, but there's no car audio system ever that has sounded like a real concert or even as good as a real high-end home audio system. There are some great sounding car audio systems, but none of them will ever approach a live performance. It just physically can't happen. So, go to the symphony. Even if you don't like symphonic music, go listen. Go to the jazz club, go to big rock concerts, go to small concerts, go to your kid's birthday party where you got somebody on an acoustic guitar. When Kip and I were in Japan, one of the criteria before we went was talking to them and saying, hey, we need some live music. And they had a 4-piece band for us, the premier jazz band in Japan. Had drums, saxophone, piano, and keyboards. And they set up in a room with us, and they played any song we wanted them to play. And it was amazing to hear them from right there. And I asked each of the musicians to play by themselves. And so, the keyboard player played by himself, the saxophone player played by himself. The coolest thing ever was the bass player. It's a stand-up bass. Walked out into the middle of the crowd. And there's, Kip, 120 people in that room or something?
Easily 120, probably closer to 160.
Yeah, and he stood in the middle of everybody, and they were not 2 feet from him, and he just played that upright bass. Never had that happen in the United States. I've taught, I don't know how many classes here. I'm not sure why, but overseas, they are much more receptive to that type of approach. Whereas in the U.S., I think we're too proud to, do that. I don't know. But you got to experience the real thing, man. You got to experience the real thing.
Yeah, and with Mike saying that, that's why I felt it was a perfect segue into you kind of reinforcing that, because I remember to this day, it was your mantra. You know, people start talking to you, asking questions. Your first thing is, go listen to some live acoustic music. That is the original reference. Everything else after that has been changed, processed, compressed, EQ'd. Something's happened to it. But if you want to know what that instrument really sounds like, I mean, one of the ones that, you know, for me is kind of an aha moment is like a piano. If you go listen to a piano, a real piano in real life, it's actually a pretty sour instrument. It's not as sweet as people think it is.
Yeah, you know, and every instrument, when you hear it live in person, it's different. And as you led to with the recordings, the key transition from the live music to what we're doing is understanding the recordings and how they were made. And why they were made as they were, how the mics were used, where they were placed. You have to understand the recording, which comes down to you've got to have a rock-solid reference audio system with which to listen to recordings, and then you put those recordings in the car and try to tune your system to sound like your reference system. You know, that's the big disconnect we have right now. You can't go straight from the live music right to the car audio system. There's multiple layers in between there that you have to factor in. So, yeah.
So obviously, besides a reference system, if you're really into it for sound quality, if that's your goal, the gear you're listening on as your reference system isn't just important, but the source of music that you're listening to is equally as important, if not more.
Sure. Think about this. The recording, you can have a top quality recording sounds this good, or you can have a recording that sounds like it's on the floor. Doesn't matter what your reproduction system is. If the recording's junk, it's going to sound like junk. You know, you've got to have a good recording. Now, that's not to say there's not good music that's recorded at different levels of quality or whatever. Whatever you enjoy is what you enjoy. The point here is that if you're going to tune your car audio system to maximize its performance, you need to have good quality recordings that you know every detail within them, and you can extract that information and make it sound good. And one word here real quick, choose recordings that are done very well. Don't necessarily choose them because you like them, because after you've listened to them 500 times, you won't like them anymore. They become tools.
That's right.
You know every detail within it, okay? And you can hear everything about that track. But after you've heard Spanish Harlem 15,000 times, Spanish Harlem is no more fun to listen to. So, you know.
You know, real quick, Mark, someone had a comment in the feed, and so I brought it up here. It's from Tom Meyer. It says, why are Mark's trophies in the background so small? Well, I think I'll let you answer that as well. But Ernie actually brought up a picture, I'm glad he did, that shows a whole bunch of trophies that I know in the day when you got them, they were so big you had to disassemble them to get them in the car to take them home. So you probably like to move small trophies around in your house, not big ones.
Well, you know, that picture is about probably 20% of the trophies that my vehicles have won over time. And those are the important, you know, the World Championship, National Championship ones, those things. But that's also done with a wide angle lens. So the car and me are kind of up front and the trophies are in the back, makes them look a little smaller. But the great days, man. KCG, you know, just Greg Davis running that, and Gary and Doug and Rob and Frank and all those guys, Dietrich. I mean, they're just so much fun. God, we had a good time with that.
You know, these pictures obviously bring back a lot of memories, and so we actually went digging into the vault here at Kicker with Ron Burnett to find some of these, Mark. So we're not trying to make fun of you. We're just really trying to relive some of those days.
Yeah, that was 2000 in Oklahoma City. Yeah.
You know, I got a question from the cheap seats in the back. That's what I like to call Ernie and those guys back there. So what they want to know, Mark, is do you still use Dire Straits heavy fuel for tuning?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I have a number of CDs. I have a number of CDs, but it's all on drive now. But probably 5 or 6 CDs worth of music, and man, all the Dire Straits stuff is just great stuff. You know, it just engineered very well, and it sounds great. So, yeah.
It does. Ernie actually put that question. He did that famous, I'm going to tell Tim in his ear what to put on the whiteboard to ask Kip. You know, it's almost seamless. It's better than a couple soup cans and a string, I'll say that.
There you go.
And RVH, RVH is a Kicker fan. He uses our product. Some recording engineers need a smack upside the head. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Some of them really do need a smack upside the head. So, your boy, Hi-Fi Vega, how you doing this evening, man?
Doing good, man. I'm here with all these musicians. I just want to mention that I was pretty good in 6th grade at the flutophone. I was one of the only kids that could actually play Spanish Harlem on the flutophone.
Oh, my.
You're scaring me.
Winner, chicken dinner. We have it, folks. So I don't know if we've ever touched on this with you, Robert, and I do consider you someone who's into SQ. I mean, you appreciate the finer things about car audio. How did you get into car audio? Do you listen to live music? And then kind of like Mark was saying, I mean, how do you look at tuning a system, and what's important to you as far as criteria?
So for me, I actually started as just a straight up bass head. I was all about the bass in the beginning. And towards the end, I started to get into the nicer components like Rainbow, Morel, Vocal. And then I had about a 12-year break in car audio. And when I came back, I was not into the bass as much anymore, although I still love bass. I just wanted something that sounded good, something that sounded more realistic, like a concert. And my reference really is I use headphones. I use in-ear monitors that are flat, that aren't too EQ'd. But as far as music, I think one of the tracks that I use a lot is the original Robert Johnson recordings. And those aren't great recordings, but I just know them intimately. And, I have a few other tracks that I use here and there. I like, like 99 Red Balloons or Luft Balloons. Yes, kind of stuff like that I like to listen to. And then of course, I got to put on some of the 90s hip hop, and I got to have the gravy in there too. So it's got to be everything for me. Yeah.
Stormy Young wants to know, do you spend more time at work or doing YouTube related stuff?
I definitely spend more time at work, unfortunately. I would love to flip that one day.
Your boss isn't watching. You can be honest with us here.
Yeah. See, I wish I had one of those jobs where I could spend time on YouTube while I was at work, but not yet.
Brian Park just chimed this in, so I had to bring it up here. Sheffield Labs. I mean, I know each of us has an intimate relationship with those discs from the day. I had to just bring that comment up. Yeah, Sheffield Labs was notoriously known for back in the day doing recordings that were as accurate as they could record them to the medium at that time, so that you'd have something to replay. Any comment on that, Vega?
I've heard more Claire Marlowe than I ever want to hear in my life. I promise.
It's a tool, man. It's a tool.
That's exactly right, buddy.
And those songs, Mark couldn't have said a truer thing, because like Spanish Harlem, no one wants to hear it anymore. It's done. It's over with. And for that matter, the Eagles, Hotel California is another live one that gets played like crazy that everyone's over. So you got to pick your tracks wisely. You got to pick tracks that sound good, that you don't really care about, because you won't like them when it's all said and done.
And here's another shout out from Jesse. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to comment. The Autosound 2000 is, I think, what he's referring to.
Sure.
There's music CDs that you can listen to. If you need technical CDs, because they open a whole new world to being able to tune your audio system. Pink Noise. Yeah, I'm not going to listen to it every day, but it's a great tool. Autosound 2000 had several CDs that you got to have if you're going to tune a car audio system to sound good. The old IASCA Setup and Test CD from 1995 or 1997. Sure. There's some good CDs out there that have some amazing information on them for tuning using your ears. And you can use tools, RTAs and other things also. But there's some great CDs to use your ears to tune your audio system with.
Brian Park brought up, he said Flashdance here, so I definitely had to bring that up because that sounds like something Vega would use. That's a little more upbeat for Vega.
Right. Well,
Does anybody know anything other than the bass line to that song, though?
No. Didn't you have to hit 130 decibels with Flashdance back in the day?
something like that.
It depended on the organization. There was one organization that if you hit 130, they shut you off. There was another organization that if you went over 130, you had to be outside the vehicle.
Yeah.
It just depended on the organization as to which, where, when, how, and what.
Okay, quick flash dance story here. Okay, comical.
Go for it.
1995 USAC World Finals in Houston. Okay. Chad Clodner and I had been competing all year in IASCA and USAC, every show in the expert class. And Chad ran through, did all his judging, and he did like a 137 with flash dance on SPL. Boom, boom, boom. That. So we get in, and the judges have to be able to hear it from outside. So I turn it on, and you could hear it. And at 14 seconds, I think, is the first note. And I hadn't turned it up, and he said, "Man, you missed your note." I said, "No, I didn't." Then at 26 seconds, the second note comes in. He's like, "Dude, you missed both of them." I said, "No, I didn't." At 43 seconds, where she sings the word "world," she goes, "World." I cranked it and did like a 143 because I had a horn under the dash pointed up right at the microphone, and at 4 kilohertz, it hit 143 dB. And Clyde was sitting there watching. He was like, I had two kicker 12s in sealed boxes. You can't do a 143 with that.
So you're the guy that they cut off all the SPL shows now. It's either 80 or 100 hertz. It's your fault.
No, I'm not. I was part of that reason, but nobody knew it. I didn't say a word about it. I just turned it down and pulled out of the lanes nice and quiet and just went on my way.
That's
Judge
an
had no
awesome
clue
story.
what was going on, so it was hilarious.
That's hilarious, Mark. Thanks for sharing that one. That one's awesome. Now, I wanted to put this one up here. Nick Fountain said, and I don't know who Peter is, but he says, Peter at PS Sound, I noticed recently has an SQ track list through Tidal. And the real reason I brought that up is, in today's world where people are looking for sources for music, I know I'm one of the few, if any, guys who are left that still, I can't go out in the stores and buy them anymore, so I still order them off of online, and I get my own CDs. I rip them as lossless tracks. I put them on a media player, and I say media player because no, it's not an iOS device. I use a high-end media player. And so I do that for me because I appreciate having a lot of good quality recordings versus a lot of overly compressed MP3s. And so if you're into that, no, you shouldn't be using music off of YouTube. You shouldn't be using Spotify. If you're serious about having a streaming source that you're going to use for everyday listening or even to pull tracks from to test with, and not that I get anything for them, but Tidal Lossless is one of the ones that I would recommend. It is a good one to use. I use Tidal Lossless. I also, Amazon Ultra HD, which are the lossless tracks. That's another great source if you're a streamer. And I live in both worlds. I stream and I also keep music on a media device. So just understand that the quality of your music source, it's, poo-poo in, poo-poo out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I just wanted to touch on that. At Kicker, question for the panel. If you can only choose one speaker placement, choose one. Choose one. Speaker placement or time alignment. So let's take that one down to Mike and Jimmy first. If you could only choose one, would you choose speaker placement or time alignment? Go ahead.
I would definitely say speaker placement first. Everything needs to start with the speakers.
Absolutely.
You got to get it as perfect as you can. Because let's face it, we're trying to do this in a car, which is the most unnatural environment for any kind of live music that I think's ever been invented.
Right.
If you actually study the live music and study a studio reference system, you can see the difference immediately just because of speaker placement and the environment. So we'll do everything you can to get the speakers exactly where they need to be in the car, get that as perfect, and then you can tune a little bit with time alignment.
Plus, time alignment is the same deal as Mark was talking about earlier. You start with live sound, then you have an engineer that engineers it, then you get it in the car, and if all you're relying on is time alignment, you're re-engineering what the engineer already did that already engineered the live music. So if you start with properly aligned speakers, you're way ahead of the ball game at that point.
I agree. Let's bounce this one up to Mark. I already saw your thumbs up, and of course, I've spent a lot of time with you, so I know your answer.
Yeah, and in particular, if you're going to do a system to sound good from both front seats, which is what we used to do, and unfortunately, very few people do it now. you've got to have good speaker placement. You've got to have more equal path lengths. You've got to have everything set up where you don't get that nasty reflection off the side window or off the windshield. You know, speaker placement is king for making a system sound really good. You know, the technology we have today, you can fix a lot of stuff. Okay, there's my 4Runner. You know where the speakers are in that thing? Okay, you see the ones down on the floor. Those are the mid-bass drivers. The high-frequency drivers are compression drivers. There are horns that go down along the back of that dash, along the windshield, about 2 feet below. So the effective path length is over 7 feet. And the path length difference between left and right is less than 6 inches. That's why that system sounded good for both front seats. You know, the signal delay, that helped. You know, a few other things helped. But once the sound leaves the speaker, it's at the mercy of the acoustical environment in the vehicle. There's nothing you can do to fix a bad speaker location. You know, you can Band-Aid it, but that's it.
That's very true. Hi-Fi Vega, you got anything to chime in on that from your experiences?
No, man, 100% speaker placement. I mean, if you could ideally just set the speakers in front of you like you're at home, but it's not like that. So you do the best you can, and you use DSP and time alignment to help that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something I'll add to that is I will be in the camp that if you're building it, if your target is an SQ quality car, I agree 100% that speaker location and placement is your #1 goal and priority. Now, if you're not willing or want to do the extreme modifications that may be necessary to get the ideal locations and you're dealing with a stock location or something like that, then time alignment is your friend, and that is how you can massage the signal where you don't want to compromise with a speaker location, but you want to deal with what you got, but you do want to sound better. That's where time alignment is very useful. And then if you're doing your speaker placement properly, you'll find that you need little to very little, if not any, actual time alignment to make those sound the way you want to. But you also have to decide, is this an everyday driving car that I just want to sound good for me in the seat, and I'm not looking to do speakers in the floor and anything as far as an extreme location? That's where time alignment really is your friend. But if you're into true sound quality and you're building a car to go compete with and win, or you just want it to sound the best for you, man, I gotta agree with every person on this panel. Location, location, location. It's the #1 rule of real estate. It's the #1 rule for a good sounding car too.
Yeah, and thanks for reeling us in on that, because, you know, we get stuck in this extreme sound quality area, and we have to step back. And, you know, I've modified my class where we talk quite a bit about everyday cars and not being able to butcher the vehicle, and how do you make it sound good from there. So you have to have that list of trade-offs. What are my goals? What am I willing to sacrifice? And
that's the amazing thing too. That's the amazing thing with the DSP that's available now. I mean, you can do something in literally minutes that would take you weeks or even months sometimes to modify a car. You can do it in minutes with a good quality DSP now.
Yeah, for one seat. Yeah.
For one seat. Oh, for sure.
And to chime in real quick, 2 things. The first one is the contest entry. We've probably got about 6 or 7 minutes left on that. We roll that off and cut it off at 8:30. So if anyone out there watching has not entered the nightly contest yet, you've got just a couple minutes. Go out and hit that link. It's kicker.fun/soundq, SOUNDQ. So go please enter that contest. We'll be doing the drawings for those right towards the end of the show, because I want to get as much time as I can with these guys on camera. So I know we normally try to do the drawing with a little spare time at the end, but I think we're going to push this as far as we can and just do the drawings real quick at the end. So please go enter if you haven't. And I had to put up here that's Robert Van Hoy. Sad that I know his name, or really great. I don't know which it is. Robert says any Telarc discs were mastered impeccable. I got to agree with you on that. I own quite a selection of those as well. And I'll go along with Mark on this. I mean, the source that you're using, if you're focused on sound quality, is very critical. There are a ton of discs that I own. I bought them not because I was in love with the music, but I was in love with the recording quality. And the flip side of that is, I can't tell you how many recordings I've bought that's, you know, whether it's pop, rock, country, you name whatever it is. I listen to just about every genre. If you were to go through my CD collection at home, you would come to the conclusion that either I'm mentally ill and I should be put into a home, or I like everything. Take your pick. It's one of the two, because I do listen to everything. But, you know, you have to really use material that's good. But I've bought music that I love the music, but the recordings have been engineered and mastered and recorded so poorly that I can't listen to them because they're so bad, which is kind of the flip side of that, where I bought it for enjoyment, but the recordings are horrible.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure you've come across some of those cases up there, haven't you, Hi-Fi?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I want to touch on something that Mark said, the 2-seat tune. I miss the 2-seat tune. As a matter of fact, I cheated my kicker key, and I put the little mic in the middle. It's not perfect, but I'm gonna mess with it more to get that 2-seat tune, because that is in my wife's car, and I'm often not driving my wife's car. I'm on the right side, and anybody that's listened to a 1-seat tune system on the right side knows it's just like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny you bring that up, and I didn't really have it in my mind that that's why I wanted Robert to join, but the cool part about having Robert on the show is, besides being an SQ guy who likes music with a little bit of gravy on it, is he's actually had some firsthand experience with what I like to call the consumer or prosumer friendly products that we've come out with in about the last 18 months to 2 years, where we've taken all the hard work out of it, so to speak, and it allows an average person to get a pretty good tuning in their car with the automated DSP that comes in the Key products, like the 204, the Key Lock product, the Key 501, and this is what I'll say, and I've heard it and I've listened to it, and I've had a lot of people who have a lot broader knowledge base and understanding who have told me, said, I've listened to what the Key does. What's crazy, Kip, he said, I could tune it better. I can do a better job than the Key. But what you have to understand is the Key gets me about 95 to 96% of the way there. And the thing is, for an average consumer, getting them to 95 or 96% of the way with imaging, staging, equalization, and being able to do it in 5 to 8 minutes, he says, I can't do what the Key does in 5 to 8 minutes. I can do a better job than the Key, but it's going to take me hours, not minutes. Right. And so that's, kind of our take on when you start talking about that, where you got speaker locations that are not optimized. You're dealing with a car that you just have to deal with the locations that go in. You put in a better quality speaker. You do the sound damping material. You do everything you want to try to get it good. But then at the end of the day, everyone out there who's buying a DSP, it's great that you own one, but you have to be educated or pay someone who is to actually do the tune. And without that, you've really wasted your money on a DSP.
Well, and that's true. But part of the problem then also comes back to understanding what it's supposed to sound like in the first place. DSPs, the auto tunes, it's awesome because it does get you a long ways down the road. But if you're just trusting that, but you don't even really know what it's supposed to sound like, you're just hitting a button going, okay, yeah, I think that's better. Spend some time learning what the music should sound like on the reference system. And it's so much fun to do, to be able to sit down, listen to your reference system, then get in the car and actually use your ears, take what that auto-tune system does and make it better. Understand how the hearing system works. You got to understand how your ears work before you can make any significant
by far, I mean, with all the different tools that we have, I think everybody here would agree the most important tool you have is definitely your ear. But your ear is something you've got to train. Right. And if you don't train it, you don't understand what you're listening to. Yeah. So the studio reference systems, the live music, but definitely having a studio reference system will give you an idea what is possible with electronic and acoustical reproduction. And it's amazing. If you can sit in a room with properly placed speakers, get the equilateral triangle so you've got perfect imaging on that, you start to hear things that you've never heard before, and then you'll know what you're looking for in a car.
Exactly.
While this is going on, Scott Hales popped this comment in, and so I had to bring it up here, especially since you came up on the screen, Jim. He says, I watched Jimmy Ham do 148 dB in 1988 with Flashdance. He says, the start of my 30-year career.
I think I was actually standing right beside Scott when that happened. So, yeah, no doubt.
And it did sound good, too. So.
Absolutely.
It can be loud. As long as it sounds good when it's loud. That's the important thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to get this wrong, but it looks like I'm going to say, is it Bachnock or Backneck? Sorry if I butchered it up there, John. He says, I'm 43 and love bass, but yes, I want all the clarity, highs and mids too. I think that really kind of aligns right with what Robert wants in his life. I mean, he wants it to have some good gravy on it, some sauce, but you want it to have everything, not just one thing.
Yeah, definitely. I want the tonality, and the staging's not as important to me. Tonality is most important, but when you go to the level that these guys are playing their systems at, that I don't think people truly understand unless they've sit in a sound quality system and listened to it, what the level of loud and clear versus a true competition system, because it is way, way different, and it's on a whole nother level. It makes you want to sit in there with your eyes closed and just listen to it.
Yeah, I agree. And you brought up something interesting, which I want to bring up as a panel question. But before I get to that, Willis and Audio Labs chimed in here. And of course, that's your other boy. Mark, thank you for saying fun. That's what car audio should be all about. And I couldn't agree with that anymore. There's no better way, and I say this from actual experience, that if you've got a bad day, if you need to decompress, if you just need to have that sanity moment for a second, there's nothing like spending a ride in your car with a properly tuned and great sounding audio system to decompress and get tuned back into yourself and let this reality just let it fade away, because you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. And music does that for you. Music you love does that for you. But you bring up an interesting question that we actually had to talk about it at lunch one day with Mike and with Jimmy, is tonality. So I'm going to pose this question. If you could choose only one thing and why, would you choose a good tonality response or perfect imaging and staging?
Tonality every single time.
Tonality.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm glad I'm not outgunned here, because I was like, this is gonna be I'm gonna look like an idiot right now.
Yeah. Staging and imaging. Think about it this way: staging and imaging, it's pretty easy to close your eyes and point to the center image. It's pretty, close your eyes, you can point to different things. You can get a visual sense, if you will. Tonality is something, if you hear it and it's not right, you're like, ooh, but you can't really point at it necessarily until you've, as Jimmy said, you've been educated. You have to learn how to recognize tonality issues. It's much more difficult. But in the real world, if you go to a concert, how often are you ninth row center? Never, okay? You're always on the side. You're always up in the balcony. You're somewhere else. So staging and imaging is going to suck anyway. But as long as it sounds good tonally, that's the important thing, because that's the real hook. That's the connection. When you're driving your car at 70 miles an hour on the highway, you're not closing your eyes imagining where Claire Marlowe is in the center stage.
That's exactly right.
But if she sounds like Claire Marlowe, good to go. So that's my 2 cents, maybe 3.
What about you, Bob? I was going to say, I saw a question up here, I think from Notorious RBH. He was asking another question for the panel. In your opinion, is center image left of center or center of dash? That really depends, in my opinion, on what your sound stage is. Now, in an ideal world, we want to push the sound stage outside the car, but wherever you can define left and wherever you can define right, center should be in the middle of that. So in an ideal world, go ahead, Mark.
Yep. No, absolutely. He's absolutely right. You listen to where the stage is, how far it is away from you, and then the center image should be at the center of that sound stage. Now, that's if you're talking judging and you're deducting points for where the sound stage is, that's a different thing. But center image should be at the center of the stage, my opinion. So
I can't tell you how many cars I've gotten in and judged and sat down and the center image be just to the left of the rearview mirror. So you close your eyes and the stage goes equally to the left outside the car, equally to the right outside the car, and then you go, well, she's in the center. She's center.
Yeah.
And then the get out and the next judge get in it, or whoever get in and come to you later and go, that car really staged well when I closed my eyes. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of how it's supposed to work.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
There's another, and of course, you guys building a car from scratch wouldn't deal with this as a problem. And it came up over here in the feed is why I'm bringing it up, is in today's cars, a lot of cars today, it's getting more and more difficult. There are literally cars today where you're not going to replace the head unit in the car without a substantial investment in doing things. And even then, you may get into a point, there are some cars that if the factory radio is not present, the car won't start. I mean, it's so integrated into the bus, it's part of the body, it's part of the car. So there are some cars you can put a new radio in still today. There are some you can put a new radio in with a lot of difficulty. Sometimes you end up spending more in the dash kit and the adapter harnesses and the plugs to get the radio to work in the car than the radio itself cost. And then you've got those cases where you're stuck with the factory radio, and it's not a bad thing per se. It's got most of the conveniences that you want: steering wheel controls, Bluetooth, aux in, USB. Most of them have GPS. The good thing is most any car today is your phone really becomes the computer interface, and you're upgrading those about every 2 years. So as long as the screen in your car is just the interface to your phone, you're getting a new computer every couple years. But the things you do have to deal with in those situations are all pass or all band filters. And basically that's the factory's way of trying to create a center image. And the question that was in the feed is, you know, what do you do if you have those? Well, from our perspective, if you've got an all pass or an all band filter system and it's doing the job, and you upgrade the speakers and you change equalization and you get the tonality you want, is live with it. Don't try to mess with that all pass filter from the factory with time alignment, because you're just going to make center imaging problem way worse than it is.
Right.
Now, if you want to start from scratch, and if that's where you want to go, and sound quality is where you want to start, and I'm not making this just a shameless plug, but it's literally the only piece on the market right now that does it. But if you use a key lock, the key LOC, it will go in, and if it's doing all pass or all phase filter removals, it takes a little bit longer. It takes probably about 10 minutes, but it will go through and it'll knock 3 of those puppies right out. And most of the factories are doing it, they only use typically 2, so we take care of up to 3, and we haven't seen one really uses 3, so we're kind of ahead of the game. But it will remove that, and then you can start from scratch and do timeline if you want. So it's really how in depth do you want to go. If the all pass or all phase filtering has been done right from the factory, your factory car probably images pretty darn good the way it is. Just live with that. Do the equalization, do the better speakers, do some more better power, and then appreciate what that all pass filter gives you. And then if you decide it's time to get a little deeper, there are tools you can remove it, but you got to remove that all pass filter before you even go down the path of doing your own all pass filters or time alignment. So it is a sound quality question, but it kind of ties back to someone who's stuck with a factory system. So I felt it was important to bring that up since it's in the feed here, guys. So just wanted to touch on that.
Just real quick, I agree. I mean, a lot of these factory systems, if you think about it, in Detroit and up in that area, the smartest people in the audio industry are working for the car manufacturers to take 50-cent speakers and $5 chip amps and make them sound as good as they do, okay? They know what they're doing. I've worked with them. Believe me, they get it. If we could get them into the aftermarket and help us design aftermarket car audio systems, it'd be scary good. But we don't have them. We can't afford them. But
correct.
If you have a factory system that sounds really good, the system in my Suburban sounds really good just in and of itself. I agree with Kip. Replace the speakers, add amplifiers, but don't rewrite the whole book on what they've done. Take what they've done and make it better. You know, take out the negative EQ they have on that speaker, leave the all-pass filters in place, leave everything else in place, and make it sound better. Now, sure, if you want to go beyond that and you've got 500 hours to work on your audio system, start from scratch. But in the real world every day, I ain't doing that to my Suburban, man. I'll tell you that.
And that says a lot for Mark to say that. So that's important.
Yeah.
A question that just came up that kind of great for this panel is, what is the opinion of the panel on subwoofer enclosures for sound quality? And oh boy, I just found the can of worms and they're crawling across the table right now. Let's put them all back in the can, but let's go block by block. Let's start with Jimmy and Mike up there in the corner. If you guys are doing an SQ-oriented system for a customer, what box do you use? Does it matter, or does the vehicle change what you decide to use?
The vehicle is probably going to be the first determining factor.
Absolutely.
It's all about, the placement and also what allowable space. We get all these great ideas about what we want to do, but there again, I guess coming from a business standpoint, we have to kind of look at what's quick and easy and what's going to give them the most for their dollar too. But I mean, anything that plays low and deep and can bring some warm sound into it, that's going to work for most cases. But when you got a pure SQ, I mean, we start cutting floorboards out and everything else. So that's not every day though.
Right. I mean, and the honest truth is there may not even be a box in the car when we're done.
Right.
It could be aperiodic. It could be free air. There's so many different variances. And with SQ, it's an open thing. Some of the guys go for an SQ system with more of an SPL oriented backside, as I like to call it. The guys call it SQL, sound quality loud. But the thing there is where do you want to be? Do you want to be the guy that wins SQ and then gets a 5th or place trophy at World Finals in SPL? What do you want to do? That's where you have to start, is where the person wants to be, and of course the vehicle.
How about you, Mark? Same question.
Yeah, it depends on the vehicle and the customer, and there you go. 3 15-inch L7s, but okay, you see the panel down in the front there? That's a motorized panel. So for SPL, that lowers down. There's another port inside that box that seals up, and I've got 3 15s, 1,200 watts on each, in a sealed box for SPL. Now for sound quality, the left and the right woofer are closed up. The coils are shorted, and only that center subwoofer plays through an aperiodic membrane for sound cue, and there's a port in the bottom of the truck that opens up, so you have an infinite baffle aperiodic subwoofer system.
No.
Little extreme maybe, but I got a lot of points for it at the shows, and it sounded great, and it got loud.
Hey, Mark, I don't think that's too extreme. We got Claude Mack here. He says, I rewired a toaster oven into a Class A amp. So, he's willing to go to extremes for sound quality. Or wait, did he just mean he had a Class A amp and it was a toaster oven?
Well, and he can have breakfast in his car at the same time.
Kind of one in the same.
Yeah, right.
One in the same thing. So.
But, it depends on the vehicle. And these days, man, subwoofers are so good in general. You put one in a good sealed box or a good 4th order ported box, and you put it in the right location in the car, in the right enclosure, and you can tune it to sound great. Now if you're going to talk 9th order bandpass boxes, that's a little more difficult to make them sound good. But if that's your goal, go for it. So
now obviously the pictures they showed, and I'm glad that Ernie had those put up there just so we went to that topic.
Yeah, thanks. That was cool.
That was pretty cool. Thanks, Ernie. Obviously, you were using some what I like to call very exotic subwoofer designs, but you're really chasing that last. You're in that class. You're chasing that last 10th of how good it can be. It's not like you're just good with a sealed or good with a ported and tuned. You're chasing that last minute detail that you're wanting to have. And of course, Jimmy and Mike up there, I know they're in that same camp. But with them being in a retail environment, they're going to give the customer what the customer wants, and it could be a wide range of things. And so sound quality can have a wide range of meanings depending on budget and what they want to or are willing to do to their car. A lot of people aren't willing to turn their car into an infinite baffle enclosure where the woofer is literally playing outside of the car, into the car, true infinite baffle. But with that said, chasing those two extremes, if we come back down to Robert, obviously, Robert, you're an SQ guy, but you're an SQ guy from a consumer standpoint. You just want your music to sound good, sound great. What do you like in an enclosure? Do you have a preference? Do you find that you use different enclosures for different cars you may have? What's your perspective on it?
So if I'm just going for sound quality, like these guys, I do like an infinite baffle setup. I think they sound really good. It's hard to get the loudness. You'll definitely get the depth of bass. It'll play low. But I like ported boxes. I like sealed enclosures too, but ported boxes, I feel like I can get enough of the SQ that I want. And, I'm kind of in between worlds on that. So I want to be able to, when someone gets in your car, people that don't know sound quality or systems, they don't care how good your sound stage is, your tonality. They want to hear. It's like, oh, you got a sub in there. I can't even hear this sub. What's going on with this sub back here? So you got to have the bass knob. You got to have a little bit of something for them.
Well, it's funny you say that, and I'm paying attention to you guys, but also trying to scrub the feed here because we've got Tom Myers chiming in. The correct answer is no subs, or 16 of them. I can't decide.
16, Tom. 16.
16.
Oh, Tom,
or
we have
48.
a phrase in the industry.
Or
there's only
144.
You always want more. Yeah. More is good, right? More. Just give me more.
Or just one 54-inch subwoofer. So.
Oh,
that would do it. That would do it.
That would do it.
Bringing this up, okay, Jesse Strawn says, I feel like with the availability of power these days, sealed can get so loud. Back in the day, we needed that bump in SPL from ported. You know, the one thing I want to add to that, Jesse, and we'll be interested to get the panel's take on this, and this is something, I've been blessed, and I do mean that very sincerely, to work for a company and have time to spend with Steve Irby, who's the CEO, founder, and head engineer of the place. And Steve drives home the point every time we're in any type of a product testing or evaluation or a meeting to decide what we're going to do. And Steve's key thing is balance. It's all about balance. You can't judge anything from just one aspect or one part because everything affects everything else. And one of the cool things about it is in today's world, there is a ton of power you can now buy. I remember back in the day that if you had a true 100-watt amplifier, that was huge. I mean, if you had a real 100 watts, that was a lot of power. Today, you can buy 2,000 watts of power, 3,000 watts of power. I mean, the days of inexpensive power are kind of here, and I don't think they're going away. But what is cool about that is up to the limits of the subwoofer, and that means the excursion, you can put a good subwoofer in a sealed enclosure, and with a lot of power and a lot of educated equalization, you can get whatever frequency response you want out of that. But just understand, when you start adding EQ, you're effectively asking the amplifier to dump more power into that specific band of frequency or frequencies, and you could reach the end or the limitation of the mechanical throw of the driver pretty darn quick. So as long as you're dealing within the realities of the driver, yeah, you can EQ a sub today. You got plenty of clean power and an EQ. You can basically make it do whatever you want. Now, there are limitations. Some subs aren't going to like a really small box. Some subs aren't going to like a really big box, and you got to deal within those realities as well. But power is it's a useful tool, but you got to know what you're doing with it.
One quick point there. You know, I used the membranes and all those complex subs back in the day. Let's say back in the day. Okay, I feel like an old guy now. You know, yeah,
we're right there with you.
A big chunk of the reason I was doing that is because I wanted the installation points. You know, right. When you're getting, you know, installation points were only 30 points on the score sheet, and nobody ever got 30 points. You know, that was a big part of it. Plus, it was fun to do. Today, my current car and every car I've done for the past 10, 12 years, 15 years, sealed enclosures. Just a straight sealed enclosure. Built very well, installed correctly, but a sealed box, man. You know, it's just too easy. It's too easy. Sub-bass is easy. Sub-bass is easy. Mid-range is hard. You know?
Right. And to touch on another part of that question, too, they were asking ported or sealed. Well, ported is a wide open question because it 100% depends on how you port the box. Mm-hmm. You can port it for SPL or you can port it for SQ. And obviously, with a lot of the SQ stuff, it actually takes a lot more space to do it. And there again, we're trying to do this in a car. If you were in a studio environment, unlimited space, you could keep the subwoofer up front in the right plane. You can make a big box. You could port it really low and get a perfect linear response out of that subwoofer. But you can't do that in the front floorboard of your car, even though I know some of us have tried for sure.
That's for sure. You know, Third Era had, isobaric infinite baffle. So there's the win. The show's over. He wins. That's it right there. Nice seeing y'all. Good night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, you bring up an interesting thing there, Jimmy, and I want to address that real quick, is that, you know, in today's world, people use subwoofers for a lot of different things, and I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, but as I like to call it, I call it floating babies and bricks. You know, there's a lot of people who just want to move a lot of energy and wind at that 20 hertz to, you know, maybe 30 hertz range, and they tune for that, and they tune to get the maximum output they can at those frequencies. But the reality is, if you tune for that, just understand that that's your goal. The reality is, once you step out of that, unless you're playing rebased music or you're just trying to float things, if you tune a box that low, its passband has been compromised to the point that when you go back and listen to what I like to refer to as real music, meaning music that's actually been recorded, it's out there, it's available, it hasn't been touched, it hasn't been re-EQ'd or rebased, you'll find that when you're listening to it, it's like, where's the bass? It's because you're tuned so low, you're tuned out of the range that the music's actually in as far as a frequency. And that ties right into what you're saying, Jimmy.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to lie, Kip. I was totally expecting you to say anything under 40 hertz is a waste.
Man.
No, not true.
This
There's a lot of good stuff down there.
Well, here's what's funny about that. I'm glad you brought that up because I get a kick out of that. The memes are the best. I love them. Here's what's funny about that. I can actually take a 4-inch driver and I can put it in a sealed box and I can show that a 4-inch driver will play down to 20 hertz. And it will. It's fully capable of it. But what people don't realize, and when they get into this wanting to move air game, it's a matter of not if the driver's capable of playing that frequency, but how loud do you want to play that frequency? And when you start going down, you start having your frequency. If you start at say 100 hertz and you're playing it at whatever SPL, I don't care what it is, pick a number. I'm playing this 100 hertz tone and I'm playing it at XSPL. And if I want to go down and I want to play 50 hertz and I want to play it at that same SPL level, it takes 4 times the cone travel to get that same SPL at half the frequency. Now go down, let's take it down half again, let's go down to 25. You're now looking from 100 hertz, that woofer has to be able to move 8 times further than it did playing at 100 hertz at that same fixed SPL level. So that whole game of does a speaker play X frequency, I can go look at an RTA or I can go back here and look at an AP all day long and I can look at a 4-inch driver, plays 20 hertz fine, does it perfectly, sounds great. It's not going to do 20 hertz and float babies. Exactly.
Right.
And that's the thing that you get into is, you know, there's a lot of these big, I like to call them big bass or SPL subwoofers out there today. They are purpose built for one thing, and it's to move tons of air in that 20 to 30 hertz register. And that's great if that's what you want to get into, but that doesn't mean that a woofer that isn't designed to move that much energy at those lower frequencies isn't capable of playing that or being musical doing it. So that's kind of the line in the sand I like to draw there. Neither one's good, neither one's bad. Just understand what you're looking for and why you want it.
Define your goals at the beginning and choose the product accordingly. Yep.
Exactly.
I had a good question for the panel, if you don't mind, before we end here. Okay. This is you include, and I think I know the answer to this, but if you had to choose one, we have another one of these, power or efficiency in your system, what are you choosing?
Efficiency.
Power.
Oh, I'm kind of on the fence on that one actually too. I would probably pick efficiency first, but I mean, good clean power can overcome a lot of problems.
Power can control a lot of issues. If you've got an amplifier that can really control things, now you got to have a speaker that can be controlled. You know, that being said, but efficiency in a car, you're so close to the speakers, efficiency is not real factor. If you're at a concert where the people are 200 feet away from the horn or the subwoofer, you need efficiency. But, you know, I've dealt with compression drivers in cars that are 117 dB efficient, 1 watt, 1 meter. And I'm only applying 1 watt to that thing, you know?
Right.
But
generally speaking, if we're talking about less efficient speakers now, we're talking about a whole range of getting into a class of drivers that just aren't really suitable too. So,
yeah.
Are you ready for my answer, Robert?
You're going to say both.
Well, here it is. If you tell me all I've got is 75 watts of power, I'm going to choose efficiency all day long because I can get a lot of output out of that 75 watts by designing a very efficient system, whether it's an efficient woofer to start with, an efficient box design, but I can optimize and get what I want. Now, if you tell me that I can have a woofer like this that's got 3.5 inches of X-Max travel, and first off, to get into a driver like this, you've thrown efficiency out the window, because as soon as you add all this weight, and as soon as you add all this B and L, efficiency is not even a factor anymore. But if you tell me this is what I got to work with, then I'm going to tell you efficiency doesn't matter. I need as much power on tap as you'll give me. So the answer for me is both, but it's dependent on what I'm doing. And there goes Ernie moving from camera to camera on me. He loves to do that. It depends on not just my goals, but what are you giving me to work with? Because I can side with the efficiency camp all day long for the right reasons, and at the same time I can side with the power camp all day long for a different set of reasons. So it really depends. What do you give me to work with, and then I'll tell you which one's most important to me.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Yeah. Nice.
Hey, real quick, can I throw something out?
Absolutely, Mark, go for it.
Just for all you guys and girls out there listening and watching here, if you've never experienced a real sound quality car, go to a show and listen, man. Go to the SQology shows, go to the Mobile Audio SQ shows, IASCA, Mecca, whatever. Find them and go listen. You know, people will let you in their cars and let you listen to their vehicles. And you can bring your own music. Most of the time, it's rare that somebody says, no, you can only use my music. But go to a show and listen to these cars. Some you'll like, some you won't. But they'll all give you ideas and help you refine your goals for making your car sound good. So go listen, man. Go.
I had to bring this one up, Mark, because obviously he's being serious and I think funny at the same time, but Buddha Acoustical says 200 meters per second port velocity to float bricks. When we're designing boxes to sound good and ported, we don't like to exceed about 17 meters per second. So at 200, I think you got some port noise going on, just a little bit.
Just a wee bit.
just a skosh of port noise going on. Anything else? Does the panel have anything else you'd like to add? Any question you'd like to present to the panel? I'm looking through the feed to see if there's one here, but feel free.
I see one question here from Randall Johnson. What's your favorite tweeter location in a sound quality vehicle in reference to its mid-range driver? So my answer for that, A, is as close to the mid-range as possible. And then both of those need to be away from you some. The further you can get away from you, then the more equal length pass you're going to have, the better it's going to sound.
And I will add, don't point your mid-range at the windshield. Get it off the top of the dash, because you have the direct sound, the direct path from the speaker to your ear, and then you have the reflection coming about a half a millisecond later, and it completely confuses a human hearing system. And you have comb filtering going on, it compresses your sound stage, and it makes it very difficult to tune. So, try and keep your speakers where it's a direct path to you and not reflecting off of something else.
Right.
Of course, I had to go out and say something and point to my buddy here to my left, the L7X, so David Adams chimes in. He's ready for those new Solo X's, so I can try to float the neighbor's kid now.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Goals, man. All you got to do is have goals.
Nice.
Float the neighbor's kid.
I'm in. Don't threaten me with a good time.
That's right.
This is a good question. I'm going to bring this up. We're getting here at the end of the show, and I'm going to run this clock out right to the end, then we'll do the prize drawings because we don't have enough time with you guys, and we may have to do a round 2 of this sometime in the future. Jesse Strawn says, marine environment is even worse than a car for SQ. Jesse, what I got to add to that, and then we'll bounce around the panel, is as soon as you take the lid off of something, a car, whether it's a convertible, a Jeep, a boat, and you take that lid off the top, you can't see it with your eyes, but all that energy those speakers are making, pressurizing and rarefying that air. The reason you can get such great output in a car and that we like it is because basically you're in an acoustic chamber that holds all that energy in. And as soon as you pull that top off, you can't see it, but all that energy that's getting trapped, it all just goes up and out into the air. And so, open air vehicles, boats, Jeeps, anything like that, if you're wanting to get loud, clean output, this is what I'll say in those environments. Efficiency is your friend, especially on mids and highs. So I'll let the room bounce that around.
Yeah, absolutely. And we use ported enclosures quite a bit, but we port them not to play too low. You want to get as much as you can down to a certain point. Anything below that, you're just wasting energy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Efficiency is important. Number of drivers, and in a boat, signal delay, if you want to call it time alignment, can work very well, because you've got all these speakers different distances from you. If you have that driver's location or a couple spots you want to sound good, use some delay so all the sound arrives at the same time. Use really nice quality tower speakers for the people in the flotilla off the back of the boat. You can make it sound good.
Right. We run into situations a lot with the wake towers, too, where you're running them on 2 different bars just to physically be able to mount them. So we'll actually add some time alignment in there. And at that point, it's literally you just stand back and listen to it and bump the time delay till everything comes in alignment. And, of course, in a boat environment, everything's so loud. It's about how loud can you be and be clean, because you just got to overcome the noise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Boat guys, they don't come in thinking SQ. I don't think most of the time. They want everybody on the lake to hear it.
Yeah. When I'm at a boat show, I walk in front of the boats, not behind them.
Right.
Exactly.
That's good advice. He's Deviant. He's one of our guys. He catches just about every show. I had to bring this up. Question to the guy with the long beard. How long does it take to grow that, man? So tell us, Mike. Or did you just take everything off the top and glue it here? How did you do it?
Everything got scared. Everything got scared and started growing down. Actually, the funny story, and this is Mark's first time seeing me since COVID. So the whole deal was I was working on a big system back when COVID started, and I was gluing some panels into the roof of the vehicle. and using urethane, and a drop of urethane landed in my hair. Well, I hadn't had a haircut because of COVID, so I didn't know that the drop of urethane had gotten into my hair. So I go home that night and I'm washing, and lo and behold, I got a big old glob of urethane. My wife is sitting over here to the side laughing her butt off. Anyway, so I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. She goes, well, shave it. So I shaved my head, and I liked it, and I just quit shaving this. So that was April of last year. So it's 1 year old.
And it was such a drastic change, even for me. I've been seeing, I didn't see him for a couple of months or however long, and I literally walked by him in the parking lot. This was right before he came back to work for us. And he's like, hey. And I'm like, who's this weird guy talking to me? He's like, Mike Flanagan.
And literally, and what makes that even worse is we have literally known each other since I was 7 and he was 10.
Yeah.
So we have been friends that long.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey. He goes, yeah, hey, who are you?
He got me at SQology too. Mike shakes my hand and he's like, I'm Mike Flanagan. Like, what? Totally threw me off.
Yeah.
I was at a show standing by Kevin Keene. Yeah. Standing by Kevin Keene, and I stood by Kevin Keene, one of the Mecca competitors. I stood by him for about 5 minutes. And just, hey, just stood there. He finally turned to me and goes, Mike?
Nice.
You know, another, since we kind of talked about open air, I wanted to bring this one up from Brandon Wallace. He says 30 hertz or 35 hertz. And I'm pretty sure he was asking, you know, what to tune to if you were in an outdoor environment and trying to look for that. I'll give you my input, and I'd ask the panel to give their ideas. We actually do a PA subwoofer cabinet here that we do with some flying mids and highs, and we use it to take to events, things like that. And it's a rather big box for an L7S15, and we tune those right about 38 hertz. And at 38 hertz, it's a great solid impact. The music is full. No, you're not floating babies, but you're not going to be able to float babies with an outdoor PA subwoofer in the open environment. But for musicality, it covers everything. It covers it well, and it sounds great doing it. So when I typically tune an enclosure for outdoor environment, my magic range that I stick with is 36 to 40 hertz. That's where I like to be if I'm building something to play outside. Go ahead next. What do you think, Mark?
Whatever works with the woofer you got. You know, I mean, seriously, you've got to measure the system and figure out what you got and how much power you have and what you're trying to do. It's a very open-ended question there. You know, no real way to define that one. Yeah.
True, that's very good.
I'll add on to what Mark said too. Basically, to me, it kind of depends on how much power you've got too. Because if you're just kind of minimal power, honestly, you're better going ahead and porting it a little bit higher and getting more of a mid-bass punch out of it. It's just simply going to sound better. If you've got the right kind of power, go lower. It's going to sound better.
Yeah, I think they're 100% right.
Robert.
And you know, unlike a boat, if you can get that to play up to like 80 hertz, even, you're doing okay because you're covering that mid-bass section. It's very hard to get on a boat.
You know, it's funny you say that, Robert, but those PA cabinets we use with an L715, we actually cross the top end over at 125 hertz. We let them play up that high, but it blends right into that 12-inch PA mid that we use, and it works really well, which kind of goes back to where Mark was going. You got to tune and design and build for your environment and figure out what works. You may be religious about an 80 hertz crossover point, but in that type of environment, it's probably not the way to go. I tune, you know what, Jesse, I tuned my boat for floating 10 feet behind my boat with a beer in my hand. And I'm going to use this as our final one to move into the giveaways tonight because I'm kind of watching the clock, guys. And, of course, there's this. Plus, you're drunk in a boat. So, you know.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
What's up, Harry?
So I saw that one. I figured that was a great question to kind of end this rollout. So I want to keep everybody up here right now. If you guys will just work with us, I want to go ahead and do the drawing, and then we'll wrap this up at the end. So everybody, as you've been tuned in, thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed everything that we've done with these great guests tonight. I have watched the comments, and I agree with you that it would be fantastic for us to get these guys back for another round 2 or 3. I've actually seen comments where they've said 5, 6. So I'll say that, you know, we will do our best to reach back out to these guys, and we will get them back in on another episode. I've had a good time talking to them. I think you guys have had a good time listening to what they've got to say, whether it's stories where they came from or this little bit that we've touched. I think there's a wealth of knowledge here that we could tap, and we could even do some more shows in the future. So with that said, though, we do have our drawing tonight. We need to get that up out of the way. We close that down at 8:30. And as always, because the front drawing beta is not working yet, but hopefully we'll soon. So Bill pulls those out of the back. It is a full random drawing. So Bill, have you got winners for me back there? All right, so if you got winners from back there, I had to pull an earplug out so I can hear Bill too, because otherwise all I hear is you guys. So our giveaway tonight, third place, you're going to get a set of EB 300 earbuds. You're going to get one of the gray Unmasked Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly T-shirts in the gray, and we're going to get you a set of Kicker koozies back there. And understand, these T-shirts, the Unmasked shirts, the only way you get these is to watch the show, enter the drawing. We give them away only through the show. So third place, our winner for third place is who, Bill? We got winner number 3 is Michael S. in Lake Zurich, Illinois. Yes? Unless that's someplace I've never been before. ILI, is that Illinois, Bill? I mean, I've never seen ILI before, so I'm a little confused there. So, Michael S., you are our third place winner tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to tell you, and I'll probably cap it one more time, but what we need from you is Bill will reach out to you over email, but social@kicker.com. Send an email in. We need to get your shipping address, no P.O. box. We can't ship to a P.O. box. We need to have a verifiable phone number so that UPS or FedEx can contact you. We promise we're not using your phone number for any other purpose. It's just for the... Okay. That's Tim giving me a cue. We just need that number so that they can contact you for the delivery, and then verify your shirt size again in the email. We know we asked that question in the drawing, but I want to make sure we get you the right size. If you maybe you selected medium and you actually meant large. So just want to make sure we get you the right size. So with that said, same instructions for winner number 2. Winner number 2 tonight is Bill. Winner number 2 is Adrian M. in Hayward, California. And now that I know what Bill's doing, he's adding an exclamation point to the end of everything. So that wasn't ILI, that was IL exclamation point. So this is CA exclamation point. But Hayward, California, Adrian M., you're our winner. You're going to get the exact same prize package as winner number 3. So that's going to be a set of the EB300 Bluetooth earbuds. You're getting one of those gray Unmasked limited edition T-shirts. And on top of that, of course, a pair of koozies so you can enjoy your favorite beverage cold while you're watching the Unmasked show or anything else you happen to be doing in your life that's fun. And last but not least, winner number 1 tonight, and they're going to get, and this is pretty cool, you're going to get the limited edition black Kicker Unmasked Live shirt. We still have some of those left from the original run. We did them in black, so we're going to get you one of those as our first place winner tonight. You're going to get the koozies as well, but more importantly, we're going to let you choose whichever size you need. You're going to win a pair of QS components to use in your choice of vehicle. Hopefully your car, truck, whatever you like. So that's what our winner number 1 is going to get tonight. And so winner number 1 tonight, Bill, is Chris R. in Omaha, Nebraska. Chris, congratulations. You are our first place winner tonight. You're going to get your choice of QS components. You're going to get that black Unmasked Live shirt, and you're going to get a set of koozies, because who doesn't like a cold beverage? I know I do. Warm beverage just is no fun whatsoever. So again, all winners, please reach out to Bill at social, or it's social@kicker.com, but it's Bill Frog who you'll be reaching. Please reach out to him. We need your shipping address, no P.O. box, a phone number so they can contact you if the shipment needs to be delivered at a different time, or tell you to come pick it up, or you're not there and they want to find out how to get it to you. And of course, we want to verify your shirt size. So congratulations. Pardon me, I got something in my eye right there. Yeah. Congratulations to all the winners tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you had a great time watching the show, but more importantly, hope you enjoy your prizes. So thanks for doing that. Also remember, when it comes to prizes, remember the Hifi Industries drawing is still in full effect. If you haven't entered for that one as well, that's the Hifi Audio Mini that we're giving away. Go hit that one. That's kicker.fun/win-a-mini, one word. And you can go enter for that. That's the drawing that's going to continue to run up until the 26th. We'll cancel that at that point, and then we do the drawing for the winner on the 27th. So with that said, bring all of them back up on screen, if you will. I don't need the full spotlight here. I want to sincerely thank Robert Hifi Vega. You are seriously one of the hardest working men in the business. I think you do a show every 3 hours, whether you need to or not. And so I certainly appreciate you taking some time out of your day and joining us here on the show. He is the Pope of live feeds.
Oh,
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, I'm humbled to be on here. I've got a new bucket list item to take Mark's class. That sounds super awesome. It sounds like it's going to be 3 or 4 years before I can
fun,
make it on the list.
You will have a good time. We have a good time every time.
Then, of course, down in my lower left corner, that would be Mr. Jimmy Ham and Mr. Mike Flanagan from Pro Audio Center. They are a store out there doing it right. They do fantastic installs. And I think they know a thing or two about how cars are supposed to sound, or boats, or UTVs, because I've seen you guys do all of them. Thank you for taking time out of your evening. I know you guys have a busy day already, and then for you to take the time to join us here, I sincerely appreciate it, and I hope I can get you guys to come back in the future.
Well, we'll see if we can. I mean, we've certainly enjoyed it. I mean, man, we get to reminisce about a lot of stuff, talk tech. We're enthusiasts at heart, so man, we're loving it. So we'll see if we can make it happen.
I get to hang out with my heroes. It's really nice.
There you go.
And Mike, this is the easiest way to let everyone know what you look like today, and that you're not the guy that's in the top 10 wanted posters down at the post office. So I think it's a great thing for you.
Thank you so much, Kip.
It might be. I don't know.
And last but certainly not least, Mark, I know you're a busy guy. I enjoyed my time working with you as a coworker. I learned a lot from you, and no BS, the time we spent together in Japan and doing that training, some of the fondest memories I think I'll ever have. You know, the food, the training with you, enjoying that live jazz band experience, and then for you to be gracious enough to carve some time out of your evening and come spend it with us and talk about it. I'm sincerely honored and humbled, and I thank you, sir.
And I appreciate you asking me to come on here because, you know, I don't get to see you guys enough, and love hanging with all you guys on the screen here. And Kip, please tell everybody at Kicker hello for me because I don't get to see him often enough, but appreciate you and everybody there.
You know, what might be pretty cool is, I mean, obviously people know where you're located because they come to your school. So you're in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So maybe at some point in the future when all these COVID restrictions lift up and off of everything, you're close. Maybe we do another round of this and we actually have you come here and you're live with us in the studio.
I'm there.
If you're up for that, I think we could be completely up for that for Mark. So we'll keep that on the books and we'll try to make that happen.
Well, and I got an email back from Roger. I got to bring some museum stuff out for you guys. I got a bunch of my old Kicker product that was installed in the Forerunner for so many years, and it needs to go to somebody other than me. And I'd like to see it out there with you guys. So there you go.
You know, you bring up that Forerunner product, man, talk about a guy who's about precision and engineering and machining when he puts something together. If that's the product I'm thinking of that you're bringing from the museum, once we get that section all set up, people are going to have to come visit because there's some awesome bit of machinery that you've done in that, and you should be proud of it.
Little bit of scary times on the router with some aluminum, yes. So.
I seen some of those times.
I've got them all.
Them too.
I've got them all.
That's hilarious. So with that said, obviously there's another. Ernie's getting you some more views of the back of your vehicle there. Whatever you've got to provide us for the museum, you know we're going to take it graciously, and we're going to put it on. Pardon me. That jalapeno found its way back. Ernie had a jalapeno for dinner, and he took a bite out of it, and he said, "This thing's really hot. Do you want it?" And I said, "Sure." I tried it, and he was right. It was really hot, but boy, was it good. So I think it's jalapeno revenge. It's found its way back. So with that said, can't thank all of you enough for joining us tonight. We will get together and do this again because I think it was a fun time, and I think people watching enjoyed it as well. You know, for everyone here at Stillwater Designs, you know, there's a couple hundred of us here that come to work every day, and we sure appreciate and enjoy the opportunity to make great sounding audio products for you guys to enjoy. We're just lucky. Me, Tim, Ernie, Jeremy, and Bill. And of course, I got to throw Sandy in the mix because she's stepping in to fill some pretty big shoes, and she's going to take over for Jeremy the next 2 weeks. We're just lucky enough to be here and put this together for you guys and bring it out. We hope you enjoy it. Again, anything you want to see on the show, comments, questions, tips, advice, please reach out to us, social@kicker.com. Love to hear it. We tailor the show around that. And for that, this night's show's over. We ran a little long, but I can tell from the people tuned in, I don't think it mattered because you enjoyed the show tonight. As always, have a safe week. We will see you next Tuesday night, 7:30 Central Time, right here on the Kicker Facebook and YouTube channels. Hope to see you then. Have a good one, everyone.